Okay, face reveal thing. Well, hi! Yay! I'm gonna do a real-time video today, a little tutorial on how to do line art, and I have this, my room is so messy, this huge pile of books where I'm gonna put my phone on, so if you're wondering what the fuck's like on the side of the, like, thing when you're watching the video, that's just my pile of books, so now you know. Yeah. Yes. Let's start the video, shall we? Okay, line art tutorial. Like I said, that's what I'm going to show you how to do that today. First off, I wanted to show you what pens I use for my line arts. I have quite a lot in my hand here. I'm not sure if these are all that I have, but there are like a few. I use these the most. These are the Staedtler pigment liner. This is 0.1, very fine tip. Oh no, wait, the tip says 0.2. Alright, so I probably put the wrong tip, cap, not tip, but cap back on there, but this is a 0.1. My camera doesn't really focus, but who cares? Nice reflection on my table. I also have one brush tip thing, but I don't really use it a lot. It's not a real brush, it's just a synthetic thing. It's like wee. And then I have, these two are both brown, and they're small. I'm not sure what size small actually is. I think it's like 0.4 millimeters. Not sure, but yeah, small. So for this line art tutorial, I'm probably going to use the normal black ones, like the ones I use the most. And yeah, let's start. First off, I want to give you some tips on what I find easiest to do when drawing line art. I know some people say like you shouldn't do one sweeping motion because that doesn't work, but for me, like, doing one sweeping motion actually does work. For example, when I'm doing the hair, let's just yeah, I'm just going to show you. I just do this, you know, like I make sweeping motions. And maybe some of you already know this for yourself. You probably do, but if you don't, you should try to pay attention to it, because some like curves and directions are easier for some people to work with than others. For example, I find it way easier to go this way than to go this way. So this is also quite easy for me, but going up isn't. So I always try to turn and twist my paper a little so I can like put my hands in more comfortable angles when I do the lining. So yeah, that's a little tip there. So yeah, sweeping motions. You can also, of course, just go like this, but for me, that usually doesn't work out because I get these, like, you know, weird bum things. Even when I try to not do that, I still get them, so, and I don't like that. So I just try to do, like, motions, but it's not like when I do a face, I'll do the entire face, like, in one smooth line. I do make, like, different lines, but yeah. Can you actually see this? Yeah, you can. Okay, just had to check there. But yeah, now I'm going to show you how I do line art by lining this little thing here. I sketched this yesterday, it's just really messy, but I'm gonna show you because, yay, why not, right? So the first thing I do is that I take a fairly thin liner. This can range anywhere from like 0.05 millimeters to 0.3 millimeters. Depends on what I feel like, how thick I want the line art to be and stuff like that. But for now I'm just going to use a 0.2. Not sure if this is like focusing, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna use now. And to be honest, I'm not really paying a lot of attention to how like perfect the lines look at this stage, because I know my hand isn't very steady, and I know I'll be able to fix it later on, because that's just how I do my line art. I don't have a steady hand, so yeah, this tutorial is for people who are the same like me, still want to have fabulous line art, even though their hands suck. So I'm gonna start with the hair here, because that's like easy for me. You see, I do the sweeping motion. Easy, I say, and my line is kind of wiggly. You might be able to see that there. Then I do this and this. You might know that in the beginning of my, can you still see this? Yeah. In the beginning of my, like when I just started out making my tutorials, I wouldn't always film my line art. That's because I'm honestly not very comfortable doing it in front of a camera, because it's difficult for me, it still is. So, and because I twist the paper around a lot, that's like the easiest for me. Just gonna put this away. I think I just should keep it here so you can't see my legs and stuff, but it's annoying, so. So yeah, I don't always film my line art. I still don't do it all the time, but recently I've been trying to film it more. But very often my head will be in front of the camera a lot, because that's what I do. Like, I want to see what I'm doing, so I go in like this. So yeah, actually my line art might end up pretty bad today, simply because I won't be able to see properly what I'm doing. So now for the face, this is like, oh, I suck at this. Like, getting a face to be symmetrical is really difficult for me for some reason. Usually I just, like you see, I did one line there, and then do the same here. Here I'm lucky with the hair. Here I'll have to draw in the rest of the face. So I just do this. As you can see, that's not very pretty, but I usually change that afterwards. So here I'm just doing some more swoopy shit. Swoop to swoop. I'm thinking right now. I didn't really plan this out. Now I'm doing like a difficult curve for me. I shouldn't have put the paper like that, but it's difficult because I have a fucking puzzle box over here. So I can't really twist the paper in the right direction. So that's kind of messy, as you can see. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, to be honest, a few weeks ago I thought, hey, I should do a tutorial on line art, right? Because that's kind of what I wanted to do. Well, no, wait, what am I saying? I was about to say I wanted to do a tutorial, not on line art, but I just wanted to do a tutorial. But the thing is, I wanted to do a tutorial on something that I'm confident with, like something that makes me think like, yeah, I'm good at doing this. So I wasn't thinking about line art because honestly, my line art skills are like not that amazing. Like, I really don't think I'm that good at line art. But then I asked on my Instagram, just like I asked my followers, like, hey, I want to do a tutorial, but I don't know what I want to do the tutorial on, so help me choose something. And for some reason, like several people, like not just one person, but like really more people, they told me you should do one on line art because I like your line art and I want to see the way, like how you do it. And yeah, so that kind of surprised me because I don't think my line art is that amazing. But yeah, apparently some of you do think so. Since I've already shown like the hair and stuff right now, I'll just do the face quickly, which is actually just really easy. I mean, these are all small lines, so you don't have to worry as much about making them steady. For the eyes, I usually don't do one eye completely in one go, because when I do like little steps on both sides, it's easier for me to keep the eyes symmetrical. So that's why I'm doing it like this right now. I'll just finish this up quickly and probably put the rest of this in time lapse. Alright, so now we have the first like layer thing done. I think it's time to go on and show you how I make my line arts like presentable for worlds, like for my speedruns and art and stuff, because honestly this isn't that good, is it? So first off, I'm just going to erase some of the lines. Not sure if I forgot anything, but usually I notice that once I erase my sketching lines, because it'll be, oh, I didn't like that, even though I thought I did. So for example, I forgot the ear stuff, but like that's not that important, honestly. I never pay too much attention to the ears. So yeah, now I've done that. Okay, so as you might have noticed from my previous speedruns, my line art is often very bold. It wasn't always like that, to be honest. Like, It used to be a lot less. Well, I used to actually only do this and then just color the drawings, but I would pay more attention to make it neat and stuff. But yeah, I always had a lot of difficulty with that. It took me like really a lot of effort and concentration to make sure the lines were super neat. And then I watched this video by, I think it was Bailey J. Yeah, probably, because I watch her channel the most, like, out of all the art channels I follow. And she had this tutorial on line art, and that's the first time I realized that you could actually, like, make more, like, textured lines and get a, like, how do I describe this? Yeah, a prettier drawing, basically. Just something that looks cooler. And I started experimenting with that. And because I was still really bad at line art and still made sloppy stuff, it was difficult for me to keep it neat. So slowly, I started going bolder and bolder because I wanted to cover up the mistakes I made. So yeah, now I'm going to show you how I do line art. What is important is that you keep in account the shading. So I have a highlight over here in the eye, so I guess that means the lighting is coming from this direction. Just put a tiny little thing there. No one cares. Okay, so if it comes from that direction, that means the shading should be behind these strands of hair. So now I could pretend that I actually pay attention to that, but to be honest, I really don't pay a lot of attention to the lighting. I just do whatever I think looks good or cool. But to, like, if you want to pay attention to shading and stuff, that's an easy thing to do. So what I then do, what I usually start with, is again the hair, because the hair is easy for me. I always make sure that where the parts where two strands are meeting is thicker, and then, because this is the side where the shadow is supposed to drop, I make this line thicker, but because I'm an idiot who doesn't always pay attention to stuff like that, I just pretend the shadow is coming from straight above and make both sides of the strand thick. What's the most important is that the part where the two strands meet is the thickest, like the boldest, and this part is like a lot thinner. Right? So then I just make one swoop like that, and it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly straight because you're gonna fill it in anyway. See? Like this. And yeah, that's basically how I line. This is what people wanted to know. How do I make my weird line art? Yeah, this is it. I really don't have like some kind of complicated explanation for this. It's just making lines thicker where they meet, stuff like that. I'm going to continue the rest of the hair later on, but I want to show you some different features where I also do different stuff. For example, the lips. There's usually some shading beneath the lower lip, and because of this I always make the lower lip a little thicker. I also like to make the edges of where the two lips meet thicker because, well, as you can see, I always leave out the middle part, so I figured this part should be like more visible and then slowly getting less visible. And then for the upper part, sometimes I make it a little thicker, not always. But you can immediately see the difference. It gives the drawing a lot more definition, or at least I think so. I like to add a little line underneath the eyebrows too. Only underneath them because I feel like this is where the shadow of the eyebrow is casting. I know it's kind of weird. It's like making weird fake eyebrows that are like slapping onto someone's face. I don't know, but yeah, I kind of like that. And I also like to make these thicker lash lines because anime lash lines are usually very thick and mine aren't even that big or thick. These eyes aren't completely straight, I realized that, lol. It's just a messy drawing, but that's okay. Because you see, line art will fix anything. You can just make things bigger if you wanna, or smaller. And I kinda want to turn the paper right now. So, yeah. I guess by just watching me do this real time, you also learn, right? Don't have to put everything into words, because I can't. There's honestly not a lot of reasoning behind this. I'm really just doing this from like my feelings, my gut feeling is telling me to make certain lines bigger. I don't know, it's something you acquire after years and years of practice. That's really bullshit. I haven't been doing this for that many years, but maybe 2. Yeah, I think about 2 years ago is when I first developed my lining technique. Sorry if you hear things like rustling. By the way, my hair keeps touching this piece of paper over there. So yeah. Well, obviously you make those pretty pupils black. Is my thing still filming? Yeah, it is. So I'm just gonna take this brush thing because I am too lazy to use a small tip for that. This brush is actually broken. That's why I'm, well, it's not broken, but the tip is like, I don't know how to say this in English, but it's not a perfect tip anymore. So I should probably go in with another liner later on to make that a little more neat. But the lining thing I was using before this is a, what is it? 0.2. So yeah, I think I use 0.2 the most. I actually have 2 0.2 liners simply because I did not have enough ink left in one, I think. Probably, but then I did. Maybe I thought I didn't. Okay, so now I'm just going to make these really big because I'm using a 0.8, which is a really big line thing. Kinda like the look of it. Maybe I'll put some white highlights into the pupils in the end. Alright, so there's one more thing I want to show you. Sorry, I keep rambling. I should probably just show you the crucial bits immediately and then go on to time-lapse. But what I want to show you is how I do line art with the clothes. And maybe also the collarbone. Shading is underneath the collarbone, so I make these parts a little darker. And then when I go outside, a little smaller. Can you see this? Yeah, you can. Just keep checking the camera. But what I wanted to show you is this, like, what is it? It's not a sweater, it's just a pullover thing. I don't know. This arm isn't straight, but who gives a shit, right? So, because the body is like going inside the pullover, whatever I'm supposed to call it, the top. Let's just call it the it's not a tank top, but a shirt. Let's just call it a fucking shirt. Okay, so it's going inside the shirt, right? So I do this here to like show how shading has been cast there because it's like going inside. I don't know if that makes any sense. Oh, it's the same for the hair, by the way. I always make the lines thicker to indicate that some strands are like sitting underneath others. So if this is like thick, and this too, then you know this strand is underneath these 2 strands. And that's why I also like to make the outside line of the ear a little bolder to show that the ear is like in front of it. You know, it's just the definition. And because these hairs are going behind the neck. Doing it here too. Yeah, I didn't really plan a lot of this. You probably realized that already, right? Because I said I would do the clothes and now I'm doing a lot of shit. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I meant with the clothes. And then I also do this underneath the arm because this is also where 2 different body parts meet, just like 2 different strands meet. And when stuff meets, I always do this. And here it should be a little bigger because of the boobies. Boobies. So I'm not really sure how I've drawn this over here, to be honest. This is kind of a shitty line now. It's supposed to be like, no, it has volume because of the boobies. The boobies, bitches. I'm thinking. Yeah, one more thing I can show you, the neck. This is probably the easiest part because every anime person, manga drawing person ever makes shading underneath the neck. That's like the typical thing people do. You just shade the freaking neck. And I usually like to make the shading a little bigger on the outside than on the inside. And I know this looks kind of asymmetrical because this line is shorter and I still make it equally wide, but I'm just gonna pretend that's how it's supposed to be, because I actually kind of think that's how it's supposed to be. It just doesn't look like it's supposed to be that way, because the shading is also going here. See, now I'm like connecting it to the tip of the hair. I think I've shown enough examples probably, so I'm just going to put the rest of this video into time-lapse so you can just watch me finish this, but faster. I hope this video was helpful to you, even if I didn't like really explain a lot. You can still see me do stuff and kind of like try to understand what I mean. Yeah. If you have any suggestions for what else I could show you, maybe stuff like just shading when I'm coloring, or I don't know, another video on how I draw a manga face, because I once did that, but it wasn't a real-time drawing, just stuff like that. You can always like leave a comment, and you can also leave a like if you found this tutorial helpful, because I like to get likes. So yay! Thanks for watching. Bye!